Imperial, but I'm also a reader in the academic department associated with the Centre for Health Policy, and run as course director with my trusty companion Melanie, who is our administrative expert, the Health Policy MSc, which is an MSc course run in conjunction with the Centre for Health Policy in the IGHI, or Imperial Global Health Innovation Unit. I was going to deal with a few things, and I had on my list, I was going to deal with who comes to do the MSc, what is taught on the MSc, and how we teach it at the moment. And you'll have to excuse me a few things that might be still to be decided because of coronavirus and various committees that we have to go to change things in after the coronavirus came around. Where we've got to with the course and what the course has delivered so far. I'm going to try and answer your question on your lips, which is it for me? The other question on your lips will be, how much time do I have to invest in it? Have I got time to do it? And am I qualified to do it? And I'm sure that is a question that many people have. And then, as I say, after that, we'll do questions from in person, the chat, and people who've emailed questions beforehand, and we'll see where we are. I'm happy to answer anything, whether it be about this MSc or other MScs at Imperial. And I'm happy to answer things about MScs, but also the certificate part and the diploma part, which all form part of what we're trying to do. Share screen. You just need to let me share the screen, Melanie. Who knew that was going to happen?
Okay, you're co-host, so you should be able to do that now.
I got it. I got it, and I should be sharing my PowerPoint slide now. Can you see it? Okay.
Yes, you can.
Thank you. I'm forever grateful to the person that answers that one. MSc in Health Policy 2021, this is, of course. So who do we have on the course is really what where I'm going to go first. So this is an MSc course, and an MSc course is designed, as far as we're doing it, with 8 individual modules or sections which are assessed, and a dissertation, which is a standalone research project at the end, and that constitutes an MSc if you pass each of those elements. We do also a diploma course, which is literally modules 1 to 8. And for those people that want a shorter, sharper introduction to health policy, we do divide our modules into 2 different parts, which we label as certificates, module 1 to 4 and module 5 to 8. And so that's the kind of nomenclature of the whole thing. And when I talk about the MSc, I'm really talking about the entry requirements to all these different parts of it as well. So on our website, the entry requirements are a minimum requirement of at least a 2-1 UK honours degree or equivalent, and 2 years healthcare experience. However, we are fully aware, firstly, that not everyone has a degree equivalent as far as Imperial are concerned to a 2-1 UK honours degree. And secondly, there are some people who don't have 2-1 honours degrees, who have a 2-2 or a different type of degree, or in fact have a degree which is perfectly valid but not classified as an honours degree. And some of the Australian universities fall into this category, and some of the degrees for accountancy fall into this category. So if you are in that category but really want to apply and have that experience in healthcare, we will definitely look at your application. We will, on the vast majority of cases, perform an interview and make, if appropriate, make a special case to the university. It takes an extra few weeks to do. It takes 15 minutes to half an hour on Zoom with me, and then I do all the writing from that point of view. So those people with lots of healthcare or health policy experience, we can make special cases for. Those people without the specific degrees that don't match the degrees that Imperial hold as matched, we can do. But we do, for everyone, require English language proficiency, because we only teach this course in English, I'm afraid. So this is my first point. So we cater for a lot of people, and a lot of people with different experience, and a lot of people with different degrees. And actually we do that on purpose, because what we're trying to get together is a group of students, because we'll be students again, wrapped together in a health policy MSc, but of different professions and different backgrounds and different experience and different knowledge and IP, and everyone will bring something different to the course. So if I was to generalize, we have a group of people from the Department of Health and NHS England and these sorts of policy making groups. We have a group of people who are at the sharp end of policy delivery, clinicians, and there's normally 10 or 15 clinicians each year, who are doctors and dentists and physios and nurses and all the other professions that I've forgotten while I'm trying to talk. We have a number of hospital managers at various different levels that come and join us on the course, so they add something slightly different. We have people from industry and pharma and device companies. Hello, Ed, who I can see there. And we have others who are interested from an academic point of view, and we have others who are entrepreneurs and want to start up and have their own businesses and have interests in other ways. So we have a huge range of people, and we have a huge range of people, the experience within each people. Some people are experts in health, health systems in general. Some will be experts in public health and may want a grounding in all of the other things. Some people that might be economically focused and want to see how that fits in with everyone else. And we welcome all of these things. It's nice for people to have a bit of extra knowledge in some of the areas. It sparks off more discussion, and it allows a really good peer-to-peer learning. So we're very happy along those lines. So that's a group of people that come, and so I hope I've included everyone here and made sure everyone here feels like they should be applying. But how do we do it? Well, it's really structured like this. It doesn't matter how we teach it, but all of the course is a 2-year course, and it's a part-time course. So it's not a full residential term as it might be, as you might have seen other courses which are full-time. We will always have an introductory day or few days or program. We then have 8 modules, which teaching various aspects of health policy that I'll go on to. Each of those modules is assessed, a dissertation, and then the award of the MSc, and all programs have to fit in with this. So within our introductory days, we have the required admin, so ensuring the registry requirements are met. We have an introduction to the course. We have a chance for candidates and students to meet each other and to meet the course team. And we try and just basically get a grounding or an understanding of health policy with a few lectures. And we might try and distill some of the fears that people have about coming to study again, because a lot of people give up study for years before they come along. Some people give up study, have a family, come back to studying. Some people are young and have less experience, but it's important for us to make sure that we know exactly what we're going to do and make sure that we get everyone up to a standard in all the different disciplines. The modules 1 to 8, we have, up until a few years ago, we were always taught these as week-long module blocks, and we did one module followed by another module, and then some assessments, one module followed by another module, and then so on and so on. And it was good, and it's nice to be, and it's nice to have an intensive teaching session, but there are a lot of bad things about having a week-long session. People had to come for 2 weeks, which wasn't always well appreciated. It always feels a little bit rushed in a week. And the trouble is, if we want high-quality speakers, their time is not altogether easy to slot into a week in a coordinated and a fashion that allows us to teach the themes within the week in the right order and the right speed. So in actual fact, when we had to go to a fully online course last year and the year before, we have seen some real advantages in stretching these modules out to run over 6, 8 weeks or 8 weeks, where we introduce themes in each week and we take people through, and we allow our experts to come along, either record something or come along and do live sessions. But if coronavirus goes, cross your fingers, there's more people having vaccines just out there, so hopefully they're nearly finished now. If it goes and we're all happy to come in, then we will be delivering a blended model between the two. So we will have work online every week for a period of time, and within term 1 we will teach module 1 and module 2. In term 2, there's only 2 terms a year, so in the first block of teaching, which is half a year, term 1, module 1 and module 2. In the second block, we're going to have module 3 and 4, and we'll do 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 in the second year. And within that, each week we'll have a theme. Each week we'll have some online activity. Each week we'll have some live lecturing and discussion classes online. And within each teaching term or block, we will have a number, and I will tell you that number when we know exactly how safe it is. We'll have some days to come in and embed some of that learning. Because we anticipate that there will still be travel restrictions, we're not going to make these absolutely mandatory and compulsory to the course, and we will provide an online presence for you if you can't attend in person. And what we've done in the past is have some people face to face, some people online who have an advocate in the room, so that we'll get somebody to ask their questions, to be able to point out that people online have a point or a theory. An online, or it's like a real life avatar that you have speaking for you in the course, and it works quite well. So we've managed to get around it slightly. Within those modules, each of the modules has an overall topic, of course it does, but within the modules we try and run a vertical theme or a horizontal theme weave through the course, looking at quantitative and qualitative research techniques and critical appraisal of a paper, and how to analyze a systematic review and other evidence, and how you might start to understand research in a slightly different way. So that's a theme that runs through, along with our themes of health and social care and finance, which is a real thing. So for each of those modules, we do an assessment. And we have moved away in the last couple of years from the dour one-size-fits-all essay after each module, to provide an assessment, a group of assessments, which not only test people's different learning styles, which of course is important, but also allow people to explore parts of the curriculum or parts of health policy that we don't necessarily have time to delve into for so long, or explore parts of the world health policy system that is relevant to you, each of you, at work, or in your day-to-day life, or whatever you want to do, or maybe it's just interesting, or maybe it's just the country that you come from, or maybe it's just the particular field that you've worked in before, or something that interests you. But there's some flexibility within those assessments. And the assessments we term authentic, as in we are very proud of the fact that we are running a course that is not just the theory and academic literature behind health policy, but is related to real life and teaches you skills to be able to use within real life. So some of our authentic assessments are more like presenting a communication strategy doing a speech or a communication plan for communicating health policy, or presenting to a government minister on what advice you would give over the following different tricky questions that might come up with, or an economic analysis or something along those lines, which is really going to make a difference, along with research techniques and all these sorts of things. So we hope that will be, or we have seen that that's been a much more engaging way of getting people to do assessments, and hopefully makes it sound like less of a burden. And each of those is marked, and this double marked, formally validated and sent off to our external examiners. Alongside these 8 modules that run over 2 years, we have a dissertation element for those doing the MSc. When you come and do the MSc, because I know you'll all apply, in October 2021, we will be thinking about the dissertation in general over the first year, but in the second year we will have a very structured, mainly self-directed, don't get me wrong, but a structured way of designing, carrying out and writing out that dissertation, with sort of touch points with our specialist dissertation team, and with some deadlines to make sure that everyone writes their introduction and does it well. I think that's a really good opportunity to educate, to use what we've learned, and it's an education in research, really, is the best way of describing it, and a chance to do a study or a quality improvement type project at the place that you work, making a difference to what you're doing at work. It doesn't have to be. You can do it on something that interests you, and some people are so bored at their own work that they do it on something that interests them rather than anything else. Or you can pair up with someone from Imperial and do something highly academic. It's there's some flexibility in there, but it's a really really interesting and proud moment when you submit that, and it's your piece of work, and they should be eminently publishable, all of them, we hope. Once you've done that and you've handed that in, we are then looking at the last stage, which is award of the MSc. And essentially what we're doing is we're taking all of the marks from modules 1 to 8, and they constitute 60% of the overall mark. And then we have the dissertation mark, which constitutes 40% of the overall mark. And these are all double checked and internally validated by an external examiner and discussed at our exam board. And we are then awarding the MSc to people based on that rigorous marking scheme. The modules themselves, I put on one single slide because I want it's important that we understand that it does follow a theme. it starts off as broad as you can be in health systems. We're talking about country or national health systems and the policies in different countries and the way that they can be studied and the way that they are subjected to these studies and the way that the evidence is presented and critique of the evidence. And within this health systems and policy, we're looking at how everything is designed and the different parts of a health policy and a health system, but also the way that we evaluate it. It's important. There needs to be a good grounding on economics in any health policy MSc, of course. So we have economics, behavioral economics and standard economics. We then look at financing healthcare, how one pays for the healthcare on a national and individual basis. We have a module on health and society, which is public health and social health, which is important. And prevention is also here. Innovation, and by innovation we mean innovation in technologies and nice shiny things, but also innovation in the way that healthcare is delivered at all different levels and in different environments. And some of the more abstract ideas as well include healthcare design and some of the parts of the Imperial that are keen on healthcare design come and teach. We have some quite innovative teaching methods and simulation also involved in that module, which it's really good, run by Aradazi. We have an option in the next module, which is either measuring and improving performance or communicating health policy. And we've kept this as an optional module because it gives people a chance at this stage to have a little bit of choice about where their main aspects are, but also delve deeply into each of these different components, which are both very interesting and exciting topics. But they also allow groups to get into slightly smaller groups, and it has more of a tutorial based element to it, which breaks up the course a little bit. So that's interesting from that point of view. So if we started off broad and then we went into different aspects of economics and health policy, and then we talked a bit more specifically about innovation, and now we're talking about specifically measuring. The module 7 looks at delivering health policy onto the ground from the policymakers down to how it's actually delivered. And we can look at all aspects of that, including how it's actually received at the grassroots level within the hospital. And then the last one is about leading that policy change, which is obviously much more practical towards the end and designed very much to be thought-provoking and practical, and also give you some time also to think about your dissertation in that time as well. Each of those modules, although they seem completely different, actually has a structure to it. So this is how we've been doing it for the last couple of years, to the last year or so with coronavirus. This is 6 weeks that we plan to make them about 8 weeks long. Each of these weeks has a theme to it. So you'll see in this module here, which is measuring improving performance in healthcare, we're measuring performance in health systems in week 1, measuring performance in institutions in week 2, and then thinking about measurement and improvement. We have a week thinking about patients and then regulation, and then measuring whole systems performance. So it could have been any different order, but the point is there are these different aspects to that, all of which have different speakers and points which we need to get across. And by putting it into dividing each module into themes, we managed to get that learning across quite successfully. Each of these themes has three elements or three parts to it. And what the first part is very essential, which is about the theoretical concepts of health policy and strategy. It's about understanding the research behind different theoretical models, and it's about how those theoretical models are used. And those are secondarily, those theoretical examples, or theoretical concepts, I like to call it, are paired with real world examples. And these are from healthcare leaders that you will know many of, and that you will have seen on TV and followed. And they will give us examples about how they have dealt with or have, just admitting someone, hang on. They will give us examples about how they have dealt with real life examples. And the idea would be, in a perfect world, that every single example, we can see the theory and what could have been done and what should have been done and what the real problems are with doing it. What you might criticize health policy teaching for, if you were looking critically around the world, is that it's all very good having a theory, and it's all very good having research about that very clean theory, but what happens in the real world is completely and utterly different 9 times out of 10. And we can look as much as we can about how we should do it, but only when we really study what actually happens do we understand these theoretical concepts. And then, of course, the third part of each module or theme is examples of health policy in action. It's really about practical exercises that we can do. Some of the modules are fairly obvious. So within the economics module, clearly we're working through economic examples. Within communicating health policy, clearly our examples are about giving speeches or communicating that health policy and how it's important. But also some coursework. The Helix Centre I mentioned is the Healthcare and Design Centre here, and some design dashes with them are very good. Visits to large acute trusts to witness this performance management on the front line is very important for some people. Some of the doctors will complain that why are we taking them to a hospital, but actually when we understand quite what it's like for everyone not there on the front line every day, it's very, very interesting. And there are, integrated care program and things like that. And there are, we run simulations to look at what might happen region-wide if we innovate and change policy. And we do a number of other things on each of the modules. So 3 parts to every module, running over 8 weeks with different themes. And that's exactly the flavour of what you might get taught. I don't know why it's not working. So there we are. This is where we are at the moment. We've had 10 cohorts since launching the MSc. If you join us in October 2021, you will be the 11th cohort. That means we have 432 that started the course, and we've had 275 graduated. That doesn't quite work up. 275 have already graduated. Of course, we've got 2 large cohorts at the moment going through the course. And we do have a few people that have interrupted because of coronavirus, which makes up that sort of slight shortfall in the numbers. But we've got some experience of doing this, and hopefully we have improved year on year. Hopefully we have tried to make the course as good as we possibly can, or the experience as good as we possibly can for people coming to do it. And I hope that some of that experience means that the student experience is really worthwhile. So I really have gone on for half an hour, but I haven't answered a couple of things, have I? I haven't answered, is it for me? and I haven't answered how much time do I have to invest and what will I need to do. Well, if you have any sort of interest in healthcare and have an interest in health policy, because your thoughts, in, if only for a moment, expand outside the bubble of where you are and where you're working, then I can almost guarantee that you will think that the course is fascinating and interesting and challenging and thought-provoking. I am not entirely sure during the whole time I've been doing this course for the last 10 or so, or 8 or 9 years, that I have ever had a complaint about the content of the course that we deliver at the end. The people find it engaging and they find it really interesting, and they find it a real chance to think about things that maybe they hadn't thought about or that they always wanted to know more about. And it's inspired quite a lot of people to do much more than they are, which is something we're very proud of. So I am pretty convinced that if you have some form of interest, it will only be furthered and grow during the course. I know that people have worries that there's a lot of words which start with academia or research and all of that sort of thing, and I know that there are people that want to do the course who have an English degree or a history degree where they're not used to academic writing. So I will tell you equally, there are people who have done chemistry and are used to formulas and are not used to discussing health policies. And, you know, I could say the same for all the different specialties about how they're not used to this, that, and the other. So our job is to make sure that everyone on the course is taught research methods to a level, is taught academic writing to a level, is taught economic evaluation to a level. And we are experienced in doing that, and we have had all of these people, chemistry and history graduates and highly motivated research people and people who have not done any of this, and pure clinicians who don't understand anything to do with health policy. We've had all of them on the course, and we cater for everything. That's our job. Our job, hopefully as well, is to nurture those people who are all at the level in terms of research analysis and get them higher by nurturing their self-study and challenging them in a slightly different way. We have experience in doing that, and I think if you want to do the course, that should be the driving mechanism, not what your experience has been or what you feel you can achieve, because we help a lot of people an awful lot, and we can do it through personal tutors, or we can do it through me or through academic writing, and we're used to helping anyone who is needing a little bit of extra tuition. How much time is an interesting question now. I mean, what our standard answer to that is, what we actually require is probably half a day a week. So if you can organize with your company or with your industry or your firm or your family, half a day a week to do the exercises and the reading and watch all the videos and join the live sessions and all that sort of thing, plus a few days of study leave or holiday each term to come to some of the in-person days if you can, and maybe a little bit extra on that when we're writing the essays, so the half day plus a few hours extra for that time period that we're writing the essays. But the essays are very much or assessments rather, are very much in line with what we're teaching on the course. So I hope they're going to be, they write themselves as we go through. That's the idea. But people say that when they do the course, they can't keep it to half a day because they keep reading and it just sort of captures their imagination and they go more and more. So do be prepared to do a little bit more, but that's your own fault for your own personal interest, I have to say. One of the difficulties people have is that you might be doing a full-time job and then you're doing a part-time course, but you don't get, if you go away for half a day a week, you're not going to get any less work during the week, and you just have to fit that into more time. So it feels like people are doing more. So a good conversation with the person you're working for or with is probably worthwhile about doing when you're doing this course as well. That would be my only tip, about whether you're wondering whether you have time and whether you can fit it into your working day. And so of the questions I asked myself at the beginning, I think I have answered all of those. And so I would very much value your opinion on whether or not I've answered everyone's questions, or whether there are lots of other questions that anyone has to answer, and we can sit here and answer anything that anyone has. Should we? Oh, I was going to start with the chat questions, but it says, hello, would you mind confirming your name, please? But I presume that's not for me. That's Melanie asking people.
No, sorry, that's me. I thought that would just go to the waiting room, but it didn't. Yeah, you can see the chat as well, so that's fine. I was just going to tell you what was in there.
So if anyone has any questions, do shout or raise your hand. Otherwise, Melanie, I think that there were some questions that were put out in to you beforehand. Did I answer any of them? Or?
You've answered lots of them. There is actually one question in the chat that looks like it's come to me directly, so I don't think you've seen, which is, do we have any PhD options at the Institute if I want to progress to one after the MSc? Great question, because I meant to say that. So as well as capturing your imagination in health policy in general, we would also rather hope to capture some people's imagination in the field of research. And we have had quite a number of people who've gone from the MSc to work with us in the Centre for Health Policy, to work with us up in the research field, who have published their dissertations and gone on and done more research in this sort of field and come to do PhDs with us. The course would be a real failure if we didn't manage to enthuse at least a few people to come and do some research with us, and to go on and do a higher degree in PhD afterwards. You cannot be registered. This is the boring bit, so switch off if you don't want to know the details, but you cannot be registered by 2 degrees at once in the UK academic institutions, and they all check with each other. So you can only list to do the MSc, and then at the end apply to do a PhD. A PhD, of course, unless you're going to be funded by your industry or by some other way, or you can afford to go part-time and do it part-time, it needs quite a lot of funding to get someone through 3 years of research. And there's also the fees and all that sort of thing. So there's often funding restrictions on PhDs, which are quite significant if you're funding it yourself. But there are a number of opportunities. There's a number of opportunities here, there's a number of opportunities elsewhere, and many people apply in many different places and are very successful, and particularly asked to do many a reference, is what I would say. So we have another question on the chat as well from Olivia, which is asking about if all lectures are recorded, whether that's face-to-face or online. So yes is the answer. We all online sessions are recorded, because we do have obviously things being what they are at the moment, people weren't signing up for a distance learning course, and that's not what the students who joined us in 2019 were expecting to be happening. And they're not all able to join all of the live sessions. So we do record all of those for you to catch up with later if you need to. And in terms of face-to-face, I assume, Colin, that will also, all of the lecture theatres at Imperial are set up to capture all lectures that take place there for them to be shared afterwards. So I can't, although it's not something we've been doing at the moment, because obviously we've been delivering everything online.
You have to remember to press the button. So back in 2018 in the old world, we were a bit forgetful, weren't we? But we
recorded the back of someone's head or something, I think, because we didn't quite know the spot to stand on. But yeah, we've all got up to speed very quickly, and we, as Colin mentioned, we were able to get everybody on campus in the autumn term for a day, and those who wanted to could join us. And we did a really nice few sessions where we had people in the room, we had people joining us remotely. We recorded the session live in a slightly low-tech way on that occasion, but we were able to do it and share it with everybody afterwards. So that is what we will plan to do going forward, hopefully in a slightly more high-tech way, but we will be able to share it.
I guess I would just
sorry.
I was just going to add to that. So I actually had the pleasure of speaking to Ed, who is in the corner of my screen today, who was asking me how you do it. Do you have to turn up at the same time each week, or do you have, or is it flexible? How can you do it? And I gave a typically long-winded answer to him, which I'll repeat, which is in actual fact, so when you've got a week's teaching, a theme within a module, that theme will have a number of different activities, some of which I'll watch this video about the theory, read this theoretical framework, read this research on that theoretical framework, look at so-and-so's real world example of what that is and what actually happened, and read about the stroke program and how it was implemented in London in this article, and then it might be join this live session where you can learn all about how so-and-so had implemented this innovative technique in a third world environment or something like this. And then you might have join our discussion forum about the following. What do you think about this? What do you think about the sugar tax? It might be we're asking you to come on Friday if you can and do a challenge where we change everyone's job roles every 5 minutes and make sure that you understand the different actors or players within delivery of this health policy. Come along to this. So there might be some live sessions in that. There won't be 2 a week, by the way. There'll only be there'll be 1 a week. And the rest of that you can fit in, but you've got to kind of do the reading before you get to the live session if you're going to discuss it. And you've got to kind of think about this practical exercise before you get to this. So there is some order to it, but there's a lot of flexibility. The actual teaching days we'll have to pick some, and we'll pick. I don't know how interesting it is. We're a little bit up in the air because we'd like to do as much as possible, but don't want to put a burden on you. We need to teach what's useful, but not try and teach what's not useful in person. We need to take account of travel restrictions or not, and we are hounded by coronavirus. And then with each time, the world changes really quickly, and I don't know whether I'm allowed to say this on camera. And the committees within Imperial don't change quite as quickly, let's just say. And just wonder whether there's anyone spying on us, Melanie. So we're a little bit hamstrung, but it's going to be blended. It'll be a bit like that. but I promise you, I will put my hand on my heart. Whenever we have anything live, you will be able to watch it back, or you will be able to join in remotely and all those sorts of things, because that's even I can do that in terms of technology. Our challenge is, although we've got a lot of experience about delivering this MSc, and we've got a lot of we've got a lot of experience about trying to blend all these things together, and we have learned really quickly about online delivery because we had some experience in Imperial to look out for. Our challenge is to try and make those live sessions for people who are looking at them not live to be able to join in and have as good a learning experience, just because we need that flexibility, I think. That was a long-winded answer, I realise, but I'm trying to illustrate the flexibility and our various problems when we're trying to plan.
Hi, Colin. Hi. Hi, Colin. Hi, Colin. This is Kumari. I have a conditional offer on the course.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Looking forward to it. Just want to know, are you giving us reading lists, and will we have access to Imperial College libraries and Senate House? Thank you.
Before you start, we will try and get some reading lists out as soon as possible.
That's good. Yes.
And we will. A lot of people want, how do I prepare? What about my summer reading and all that sort of thing? So we're going to charge Melanie with trying to get some general text out for module 1 for people to do a bit more reading. I understand that. Of course, they have to be optional, and we won't be able to make them compulsory over the summer.
Yes.
When we start, because you're actually only allowed 2 years to do the MSc. So it's bullying if I try and make you do it beforehand. The live and any reading we give you will be publicly or freely available. Melanie, nod if shake your head if I'm telling porcupine. But any knowledge will be freely available, and then when you come and join us, you'll be given the library access as you join, and then we'll be able to provide links to all these different things from the library.
Yes. How much do you think will books and materials cost in the first year, please? Estimated cost.
Nothing.
Yeah.
We don't have textbooks as such for the course, which I think quite often people are expecting that there'll be general texts that apply to the whole course, that they'll be given, months in advance of the course starting. But actually, all of the reading relates on a module by module basis.
Yes.
And we don't, as far as I know, there's only one instance I can think of where there was a textbook that the module lead said, buy this book, and it was
Yes.
something. In the vast majority of cases, the texts are available at the Imperial College Library, and obviously, given how the last year has been, everything has been available digitally. Otherwise, it's not been put on a reading list. So
yes.
I think we get told off if we try and put stuff that isn't available in Imperial College Library on our reading list. So I don't think anyone does it.
You can't get it past the library team.
Yeah,
so even if you want
I think the answer to the question is 0. But a lot of people do like to buy a book on, when they do their dissertation and they use a systematic review methodology, they like to buy systematic reviews for dummies. And I have to say that some of my advice on dissertations does give books, but they're not expensive books. They're £10 something.
So the main course is based at South Kensington campus?
The main course at the moment is probably, I have to say, online. When we meet up, we normally meet up at St Mary's.
Oh, I see, yes.
Because we like to bring you to the coronavirus capital of the world. No. We will do it somewhere safe. And I wouldn't be pinned down on that answer. We've done it at South Ken campus, and there are some nice rooms there, but I'll be honest with you, we're not first in the list with South Ken campus because the medical school makes that much money and we make this much money, and money makes the world go round, and it also gives you the nice rooms. So we're much better off coming to St Mary's, where we can bully people into giving us some.
Yes. Okay.
It will, but it really depends on how many people next year for their MSc courses are online and who wants the rooms. It depends on how many people we're allowed in one room. So if we have to have 3 chair spacing and a lecture theatre of 120 will only have 30 people, and we have to deliver the course twice because we've got 60 people, then we're not going to be doing it in a room with 10 people. We can only have 4 people and doing it 25 times. So I know the maths wasn't quite right. So I think that we probably will be looking towards the lecture theatres at St Mary's to do these sorts of things, and they're nice and airy and roomy.
Yes.
There's a few exits and entrances and that sort of thing, which seems to have worked for us in the past. Of course, we wouldn't do it ever during a coronavirus peak, so we'd be just online if that was happening. So you'll be safe, and we will be nearby.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
There was another question about in the chat about what the timetable is like for the face-to-face sessions, which I think we've covered some of, but asking about whether they were going to be in the evening or during the day. So those sessions will be scheduled during the day. In our previous lives of what's it called? Not bulk teaching. You know what the term is, Colin. It's completely escaped me for a moment. Burst teaching is what it's called at Imperial College, where we would teach 2 weeks straight. Those sessions always run 9:30 to 5 o'clock, Monday to Friday. So we would be sticking to within those times, but not in the intensive burst because of the blended delivery. But there isn't the intention to run those sessions in the evening.
I don't think. I'm pretty sure we're technically not allowed.
Not allowed, no. Unless we publish the course as a, like with an MBA, for example, you can often do an evenings or weekend MBA, something like that, at the business school at Imperial. So unless we were presenting the course as that, we can't do that. And asking how far in advance the timetable is published, you can arrange it with work. We usually, at this time of year, would already know all of our teaching dates for the new intake. It is, as Colin explained, a bit different this year because we're still finding our way through the changes to the course and the necessary changes because of COVID restrictions. So we will have the dates confirmed as soon as we possibly can, but they certainly, you won't be told a couple of weeks in advance that we're going to be having face-to-face teaching. They'll be planned at the in advance of the academic year beginning. So obviously when you start in October, you would already have the dates planned as to when you're going to be coming in for the autumn and the spring term. Right, Colin?
Correct.
Right. There were a couple of other questions as well that came up in advance of this session, which I don't know if the people who pose those questions are here, but there were some questions about scholarships, and there is a
good question.
Yeah, so there's the Dean's Scholarship, which is available, and there's also a variety of other scholarships available from other institutions for people in specific industries or from other countries. And there's a really good scholarship search tool on the Imperial website. So there's only one direct scholarship which applies in the Faculty of Medicine, which is the Dean's Scholarship, which is worth £10,000 maximum, and it gets awarded across the number of places available varies year on year depending on the amount of funding available. I think it was 10 places last year got the £10,000 funding. But there is, as I say, there are other scholarships available that you can source through the Imperial website, through that search tool, where you can put your specific circumstances in and see if there's anything that might be available for you.
We have been very successful in the Dean's Prize.
We have, yeah.
Scholarship. And I've had a number of different people come and join. You have to put in an application, but it's much the same as the application that we put in. Make a case for it, and and we put forward some people, and quite often do very well. You do have to go to a couple of
get-togethers,
meet and greet get-togethers, which are sometimes, frankly embarrassing. But that's all. It's not very long and painful.
And the other questions were about work and flexibility. So I think we've covered those, talking about the fact that it's a part-time course and everybody is, or the vast majority of people are working alongside taking the course. There was also a question about whether students can extend their course mid-year. So to answer that, and if anybody else is wondering about that, there is a system at Imperial College of interruption of study, where if you need to, for any reason, take a break during your course, whether that's for family reasons, for maternity leave, for the fact that you suddenly get posted elsewhere in your job, you get seconded and you have to go off and do something really intense for a year, or whatever it may be, or for any other personal circumstances, you are able to take a maximum of 2 years on pause, essentially, during the course. So you have got a maximum of 4 years to complete the course from the point that you enroll. So the course is 2 years, and you can take up to 2 years of interruption of study. And we don't have to have a great justification as to why you want to take it. If you need to take it for medical reasons, you do need to be medically cleared before you come back. But otherwise, you don't need a great justification as to why you're taking a break. We understand that people need to, and on a part-time course, it does come up a bit more often than it does on a full-time course.
If that question didn't mean that and meant, are we allowed to go on the certificate and then extend to the diploma, or diploma and extend to the MSc, the answer is just.
It was in the context of the question was talking about family responsibility and whether the person's able to get everything
I just
done.
thought I'd answer that question just in case anyone was thinking it. But you're right. We're very we're understanding. It's not a. This is not a. We're not asking or trying to gather together a group of people who've just left school. We're asking for people with experience and who will have different things going on in their life, and we're very used to working around trials and tribulations and problems and babies and God knows what else.
I think I'm looking at the pre-submitted questions, and I think we've more or less covered everything. But obviously we've got people here we haven't heard much from. So if people have more questions, then please do feel free to ask those, because we wouldn't want to have missed anything that you're wondering.
My chat is completely blank. I don't know which chat you're looking at, but
just to me.
mine's blank. So I'm looking to you. So if there's no more questions, I'm very happy. If I'll talk for one. Look at that. So I've got a chat question.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Annalise. Have we ever been oversubscribed before, or is everyone accepted if they have the merit? So, have we ever been oversubscribed before? Yeah, we have, and we got told off severely about the room size, and we've had to get extra chairs and all those sorts of things, which has been slightly embarrassing. Do we accept everyone? Well, so so the answer is by and large yes, as long as if you qualify for it, or we do a special case for you and you qualify in terms of English language, and you have a good justification for doing the course, and tell us that, and then we have let everyone there, but we have had some people who we've said no to for lots of different reasons, for being without, some people might need to do the course next year, or not have enough experience, or do this, that and the other, but we will try and take as many as we can. I don't know whether there are any restrictions on an
We were
online.
talking about it this morning, actually, in our meeting, and about the issue we had in the past with space constraints.
We're limited to 60. I think we got it a bit wrong once.
I think, yeah, the space constraints were based on the fact that we needed, it's all very practical, but that we needed 2 weeks worth of space for however many people we had, including some shared modules with other courses. And those circumstances have all obviously changed quite a bit. So we don't have, in answer to that question, we don't have a strict cutoff currently, and we haven't experienced a point where the course was full and we couldn't accept more people because the course was full.
Oh.
Also, I should just say, I mentioned deferral. We do also have support available. So we have, obviously, as Colin said, we do look after you, and we're used to people having lots of things going on in their lives. And that does also cover the Disability Advisory Service, which is part of Imperial College, and the welfare services, which are part of Imperial. So you have access to all of that. So, for example, over the last year, we've had a new system that's come in, which offers a sort of backup to real life counselling, if you like. So there's like online counselling services available as part of Imperial College. There's also, as I say, the Disability Advisory Service. So whether that's for practical needs that you might have in terms of coming onto campus or studying with us if you need extra support, or if it's more related to learning, so something like dyslexia or dyspraxia, which is going to impact your ability to take part in the course that you might need some further support for. We've got all of that in place. So if you've got any concerns about any of that or anything you would need extra help with, then do get in touch with us and we can help put you in touch with the people who are experts at providing that support alongside us as a course team. So there's a lot there in terms of support. I think that covers the sort of supplementary things that I wanted to make sure I covered, even though they hadn't been asked, just in case anyone was wondering about them.
Excellent.
You wanted to cover, Colin?
Right then. So, Ed?
Mr. Bicknell, sorry to disturb you before your final speech, and good to see you. Much prefer a live presentation than a recorded one. It's been a long time since I last saw you.
Yeah.
Just to get an understanding of merits at the end of your graduation. So over the last 9 years, what is the average breakdown in terms of, merit awards, in terms of distinction or a pass, etc., that kind of thing? Do you have a quick summary, a rough summary of it, or anything like that?
So at the end of the MSc, not the diplomas and not the other ones, we award a distinction to those people who, essentially it's 70 and above for the module elements and 70 and above for the dissertation element. And then there is a merit and a pass, and we can anyway, there are some people that fail the odd one, and we can can't remember the exact word, we can forgive a small aberration with people. And we normally get about, I would have said it's about somewhere between 10 and 20% get a distinction. There is, and then the rest are split between pass and merits, maybe slightly more merits, which is interesting. But certainly, about 10 or 20% get a distinction. And then we have a single prize.
Oh. Oh, I think, did he drop off, or is it me?
Did Colin just disappear?
Oh, yes.
Oh no, that means I'm in charge.
So what's the answer, Melanie?
The answer was, Colin mentioned a percentage.
Yeah, he's probably looking at it quickly in a book. It's like,
that's normally my department.
yeah. Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I wasn't able to guess what the percentage would be. But
No, just getting a rough idea to see how rigorous this MSc is, I guess, really.
I'm letting him back in. Hold on.
Yes, okay.
Colin, I thought you were going to ask me to wrap up. It's a bit like leaving me to the washing up at the end of the party.
Have they all gone?
No.
Oh.
We're waiting for you.
I'm really sorry. I took my laptop down. I honestly thought I was going to have to do this whole thing from the theatre, like that bloke who got sent to court.
Oh, right.
Who was in court. But I was and I was going to do it sort of outside whilst supervising this theatre thing. It's clearly completely inappropriate. But I took my power lead down and I forgot to plug it back in when I came back up. Sorry. All I was going to say was thank you very much for your interest and listening to me drivel on. I hope what we said was of interest and relevant. I hope you've had a chance to ask all of your questions. But if you think of questions in 5 minutes or 5 hours or 5 days or 5 weeks or 5 years' time, then you are very welcome to email me. I am colin.bicknell@imperial.ac.uk, and if you can't remember that, it's colin.bicknell@nhs.net, which you should be able to remember, and either of those will come through, and I would be delighted to talk to anyone or no one, email questions or not, and Melanie, of course, has the generic health policy mailbox, which I think she will answer quickly. And probably quicker than me.
Oh, you've gone on mute, Colin.
Hello?
Hello.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go on mute. Where did I go on mute? At the end when I said thank you very much?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. So thank you very much. Lovely to see you all.
Thanks so much, everyone.
We'll leave it there. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, all of you.